Hi, I'm Dana, and it's time for this week's question, and it comes from Lisa, and she writes, I have a 20-month-old who was sleeping wonderfully in his crib until he learned to jump out. We couldn't get a crib tent, and we were worried he would hurt himself, so we converted his crib to a toddler bed. Now, after we put him to bed at 7:30, he comes out of his room 30 to 40 times every night. I'm not sure how to handle this situation as I can't put him back in the crib. Short of putting a lock on the door, what's left to do? Well, thanks for this question, Lisa. It's a good one. Again, a lot of the questions coming in the last couple of weeks had to do with toddlers coming out of their room at bedtime. And I can sympathize that you tried to keep him in that crib as long as you could. And I do find that the longer you can keep your child in a crib, the better the transition goes to a toddler bed or a big boy or girl bed. And I find a good time frame is anywhere between 2.5 to 3. Again, if you've got a jumper though that is risking hurting themselves, then really you could go to a crib tent, which I think is a very good option. Or last choice would be to go to the toddler bed. Why I find it's difficult though with anything under 2 or even before 2.5 is that the child just doesn't have the ability to think through the consequences very well. So it's almost this irresistible thing to get out of your bed and keep leaving your room. It's just so irresistible that they just do it and do it and do it, and it's really hard to sort of break that cycle. And it sounds like him coming out of his room 30 to 40 times a night, that's you're in that problem, Lisa. So what can you do if you don't have a choice? Well, this is a good example of how consequences need to be in place for this sort of thing. I mean, if he comes out and you say, back to bed, and you take him back to his room, and a few minutes later he comes out, and you say back to bed, and this goes on and on, it's very good attention. I mean, I'm guessing that this is taking you at least an hour, maybe more, before he finally gives up and goes to sleep. So basically, every night this little guy has your undivided attention for an hour or more with this little game that's happening here. And even if you're getting angry and raising your voice and telling him, what's going to happen if he does it again, and even negative attention, it's still attention. And for most toddlers, they'll take it and they'll just keep the game going because it's still attention. So I would say that something needs to be done in order to stop this behavior, and it has to be a consequence that he's not going to like that much, so that he'll try to start thinking through to that. Step one would be to just try to keep returning him to his bed, but don't say anything, okay? Don't even make eye contact with him. So you would just, let's say he comes out, you don't even look, you don't even say anything, you just take him by the shoulder, march him back to bed, stick him in, leave the room, okay? That is a bit upsetting because most children don't like it when you don't make eye contact and you don't talk. And so that might be enough of a consequence that he'll stop doing it, because it's kind of, sort of strange and odd, and they often don't like it. They might even say, like, why aren't you talking? And get a little angry about it. So that's a good step one, and see if that works. And if you find after 3 or 4 nights that things are not improving, even with that method, then you'll have to probably go to plan B. And plan B would be to start securing the door in some way. So, so maybe get a little latch for the outside, or maybe get the white knobs that cover the doorknob that are really hard to open. And you'll have to start securing the door. Now, you could try to sort of do it in increments, meaning if he comes out once, you give him a warning, don't come out again, or mommy's going to lock your door, or whatever you want to call it. And if he comes out again, then you're going to, hold the door closed or latch it or put the knob on for 5 minutes or so to really set the consequence. And then you could give him another chance. And for a lot of toddlers, that works really well because they don't like the idea of the door being closed all the way. They don't like the idea that, you're on the other side holding it, or that they can't get out. And after a few tries of this, that's often enough where they'll say, okay, I don't like that, I'm going to stay in my bed now, and they don't come out anymore. Even with my own children, on occasion I've had to say, don't come out of your room again, or I'm going to close your door all the way. And that's enough of a deterrent for them that they don't come out again, because they just don't like that. So that would be plan B, to try that. And if that's not getting you very far either, then you might have to go to sort of step 3, which would be to secure the door entirely. If he's just not old enough to really understand this or get it, you might just have to latch it from the outside and know that he's in there. I mean, it really is quite dangerous for a 20-month-old to be able to wander around the house. I mean, how can you even know if he got up in the night and wandered out of his room, and who knows what kind of trouble he would get himself into. So, you can think of it from a safety standpoint, that you really need to know that he's safe and secure in there. And if he's just not listening or responding to these consequences, then that might be your only choice. And it doesn't have to be forever. Maybe you do it for a month and you give him another chance. You say, I'm going to leave the door open tonight, but you need to stay in your bed. And if he can prove to you that he can do that, then you can start leaving the door open again. Okay, so those are some choices and some strategies to try, and I definitely hope you have success. Thanks for your question, and sleep well.